Hello guys, my name is Anna and I vlog daily from Ukraine since the start of brutal Russian invasion. So if you support Ukraine and you want to follow the updates from my country, please subscribe. And today I want to speak about another stage of escalation, of course escalation generated by Russia when they moved nuclear weapons to Belarus. They have spoken a lot about that. And now, according to the results of Ukrainian intelligence services and global intelligence services, these first nuclear weapons arrived to Belarus. A kind reminder, Belarus is not a nuclear country and is not supposed to have, possess, use anything like that. So, of course, it goes against all the international laws, but Russia is known for breaking, ignoring, disrespecting all international agreements and constantly provoking, threatening and terrorizing the world. In return, from what I understand, the United States moved some of their F-35, even better jet bombers, to Great Britain so that in case of emergency, these jets are capable of carrying nuclear weapons and perhaps they can provide an answer if Russia provokes and targets any of Ukrainian territories or any of world territories with nuclear weapons. If you agree that Russia is a terrorist state that should not be negotiated with, or we cannot satisfy any of their demands, please subscribe and share the information about Ukraine because we need your support and we need to end this war with full Russian defeat and hopefully collapse. Russia is a bully. Russia is a terrorist that constantly tries to frighten the world by saying, if, then we will nuke, if, then we will nuke. And all of these ifs, they are of course illegal and they go against the rules on which the world operates and operated for the last decades. If you ask me, do I think Putin will use nuclear weapons, I will tell you I don't know. Because I was a person who did not believe full-scale war is possible in the 21st century. But now, after a year and a half of vlogging from a country at war, I realize everything is possible as long as criminal Putin is one of the still leaders. So, the thing is, from one point of view, he claimed a number of times that if Russia is threatened, if Russia is targeted, we will nuke. Well, Russia was targeted 190 times during the last months, it seemed to me, with Ukrainian drones and other weapons, and nothing happened. They did not nuke us, they did not nuke London or Washington as they promised. Honestly, and perhaps this is the most important message of today's video, I think that the fact whether Russia will or will not use nuclear weapons does not belong on our behavior or actions at all. Russia is a terrorist, extremely irrational, extremely spontaneous, totally dependent on a small group of paranoid people with Kremlin gobbling Putin at the top, and the decisions that they make, they are not based on logics, they are not based on analysis, they are very spontaneous, they are very chaotic, and they are of course filled with anger and hatred towards the world. So whether they will nuke or not totally depends on Putin's paranoia. But I don't think it's totally impossible. I see many vloggers, experts saying, no, do you remember this mutual destruction promise? Like if one country uses nuclear weapons, then another will use and all the world will be destroyed. Well, there are tactical nuclear weapons, there were precedents of usage of nuclear weapons, and nothing actually happened. And I'm afraid that when Russia uses nuclear weapons, nothing will actually happen. From one point of view, we will not give up because for us to give up means to die. So there is no option. And I am not sure that people in the world will react and nuke Russia Because once again, they will say this sacred, stupid phrase, let's not escalate, forgetting that it is Russia who escalates. So I think it's extremely important to plan what we do. I mean, Ukraine and allies and nuclear countries who stand for democracy and freedom and who don't want the world to explode and die out. We have to develop a plan what we do if Russia uses tactical nuclear weapons, because so far we only read various concerns like messages, this article might be applied, this reaction might happen, but this does not work with bullies, with terrorists, and also this tells Russia nothing. They tell, we will nuke London, we will nuke Kyiv, we will nuke Warsaw, and in return they hear, we are concerned, this can cause global problems, and so on. So I do hope that NATO and other strong fighters for democracy and freedom do have a plan, a scenario, what they do if Russia applies, for example, tactical nuclear weapons in Ukraine or elsewhere. Of course, if global governments will press Ukraine to negotiate, this is a mistake and this is a losing game, because terrorists will see that, aha, we frighten them with nuclear weapons, they give up. So we can continue pressing them, we can continue demanding what we want, and no one will react. At this point of time, the world is actually at war between authoritarian regimes and democratic regimes. The problem is that many people, even in the European Union, even in the United States, like authoritarian leadership style. And if this kind of governance rules, I think all of us normal, freedom-loving, thinking people who respect difference and diversity are at great danger of extinctions. That's why we cannot allow any terrorist demands to be satisfied, and we have to be ready to react and to stop any authoritarian advances, and usage of nuclear weapons can actually be one of such steps. But another pretty sad conclusion is we understand that this is going to be a long war, and at a certain period it may be that NATO or some other countries will need to involve. Because Russia is a huge country that continues producing thousands of missiles, has lots of supporters among other authoritarian regimes, and it can continue for decades. Hopefully, many countries understand that and continue arming Ukraine, and not just Ukraine, but also themselves. If you agree that we have to stand united against this dark evil and empire of misery, and that Russia is an Orkland, please subscribe and spread the information about Ukrainian victories, about Ukrainian needs, about Ukrainian gratitude, and of course about Russian war crimes. So I am very grateful and satisfied with the information that the United States is preparing to buy more mid-range missiles that Ukraine can use to protect its territory from Russians. And that this military industry, I know many of you don't like it. I also did not like it before this war, but we don't have other choice. Russia pushed us into this war and actually invaded our territory, started ruining our houses, hospitals, and schools. So all of us started arming ourselves, and I think it's really, really important that all the countries are to some extent prepared, because unfortunately, once again, we already see that this is a long war. A year and a half is a lot, guys, actually. And also that we need to stay strong, because if we fail and authoritarian regimes win, oh my God, this world is in great trouble. And I'm sure I don't need to explain you, because all of you are people who understand how important it is to keep our democracies, even if they are not ideal, but they, believe me, are much better than any happy authoritarian regime. People pretend to be happy there. They don't have other choice. I saw some people in Belarus protesting against nuclear weapons. They didn't have this choice because at the moment Russia totally annexed Belarus and does whatever it wants on the territory. But I was satisfied to see at least some people with posters saying they don't need Russian nukes on their territory. So I hope the day will come when Belarus will also be liberated and all of our region will experience renaissance, many investments, tourists, and let's fight for that. It is worth it. Thank you so much for buying me coffees and hot tea to get rid of my colds. Thank you for becoming my patrons. Introduce yourself to our shop where we've got lots of interesting hoodies, caps, good for autumn. Subscribe to my Instagram, Threads, Twitter and Discord. All the links are below this video. But most importantly, thank you for standing with Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!